G'day Eagles fans, welcome back to True Eagle. Today I had some extra time and I thought I might make a video ranking the young talent on the West Coast Eagles senior list. I did this last year if I'm not mistaken, and I certainly did one for the entire squad. But today I'm going to be looking at players under around 25. I can't remember exactly what the cutoff was. I set it generally at about 2003, so anyone taken in the last 4 drafts or young enough to have been taken in the last 4 drafts, and I've thrown in a couple of exceptions in here. I can't remember off the top of my head when Sandy Brock was born, for instance, but he's played so few games that he probably counts in this. And what I'm going to be doing is ranking into the categories based on their level of talent and how I forecast them and how their careers will go at West Coast. So we're going to be using Tier Maker today as a bit of a visual aid. As you can see, I've got 25 little Eagles faces there, and I'm going to rank them into these following categories. I've got the top end talents, the guys I think will be top end players in their position, strong performers who are probably not quite elite, or at least I'm not sure they're going to be elite yet. We got a has potential category, which we'll leave for a second. Role player, it means I think their potential is probably limited to a specific role that they play in the team, which is still valuable. And then there's a bunch of speculative ones where we can't possibly have a strong indication of which way they're going to go. So has potential, I suppose. I think there's more to be shown at AFL level. I don't know whether or not they're going to become a genuinely strong performer in our future quality team, which I hope is right around the corner, or are they going to be pigeonholed as a role player? We'll get into specifics as we go along. Thanks to everyone who's subscribed lately. If you could do me a favor, if you enjoy watching the content but you haven't hit subscribe yet, I'd appreciate it if you did. Help grow this Eagles channel. We're in a great rhythm at the moment. I'm more active on Instagram as well, True Eagle AFL. And I expect the next video you get on this channel will be the review of the Port Adelaide game. Hopefully that is an upset win. All right, let's get into these rankings. All right, start nice and easy. I think Harley Reid is a top-end talent. I think he's our best talent. I think he's tracking okay this year. Aside from the free kicks he gives away, which are not always there, I think he's poorly umpired. I think he has discipline issues for sure. They're a little bit blown out of proportion a little bit, and I think for a guy who's clearly hampered, like his body doesn't look right, I think he's come a long way as a clearance midfielder and his hand's in tight. I mean, I don't think I need to sell you too much on Harley. I know he has his detractors, but he is our best talent on our list. And I'm going to actually put Elijah Hewitt in here as well, as soon as I can find him. Let's put Elijah up here as well. I don't think Elijah's as talented as Harley, but I think there is genuine A-grade midfield potential there. And I think that with his traits, it's going to take him a little bit longer to hit that prime performance or that peak performance. I think he's going to be a little bit later in his career, but what we've seen right now, I mean, he's had several games where he's won 6 or 7 clearances. He's already getting it done, and this is by far the most responsibility he's had in the team. So I'm very comfortable putting him there. Obviously, it's not locked and loaded, but I think he's a top-end talent and a huge part of our future team. Let's maybe go one per category. I'm going to put, this might be controversial, but I was going to put Brady Hough in strong performer purely because I don't know if he's an elite midfielder yet. And I suppose you could say, well, you just did that with Elijah, who you can't possibly know is an elite midfielder. I think there's a little bit more potential as a pure midfielder for Elijah than Brady. We know Brady's an elite small lockdown defender, and he's only played like 10 games as a midfielder. There's been some patchy performances. There's also been some elite performances. I'm going to put him in strong performer for now. I just don't know if he's going to become an elite midfielder yet, but we know he's very good in multiple positions, and I still think he could be there, but at the moment I think he's a very good midfielder, or has the potential to become a very good, consistent midfielder for us. Who is somebody that is in the has potential category? I'm going to put Job Shanahan in the has potential. Look, I think I don't really have a strong ceiling on what he can be at AFL level. I think he's got great traits for a key forward. His ability to get around the ground, mark at the highest point, and kick accurately. I think there's a heap of potential there, and I've liked him since before he was drafted, but he's only played a couple of games. So I'm going to be conservative with these and say if I haven't seen enough of it yet, then I'm just going to put him in the has potential. But I think there is top-end potential there. I just think I'm a little bit more confident in Elijah because he's bridged that gap a little bit more than, say, a 2-game player in Job Shanahan. Who is a player that I think caps out at being a role player on our list? Maybe Noah Long. Noah's not guaranteed to get there, but I think he's in and around the team. Well, he's certainly in and around the team and performs well at waffle level and just can't quite find his groove in the AFL team yet. So I suppose you could say that's speculative, but he's played enough games now where I think, okay, he's a role player without that real top-end potential. I don't think he's speculative, nor do I think he really becomes an elite player at AFL level, but very happy with the selection we took. Was it like pick 58 or something like that, Noah Long? And we can probably populate the speculative category where it's just, we've seen so little. So Colin Livingston, he seems to be go all right and hold his own in the waffle, but he is not really that close to an AFL berth. So is he on the list next year? I actually don't really know. Don't have a strong opinion. But I don't know if he has that real potential as opposed to, someone like a Joe Shanahan who's only played a little bit more. Luca Grego also has played so little that I think he goes in speculative. I think he could be a decent role player at AFL level, but that's my own ignorance. I've seen him at waffle level and he looks pretty good, but it's so early in his journey that I can't really put him anywhere else. Jacob Newton, the mid-season draftee, had a good performance in the waffle against Subi in the game that we won. And they clearly rate him, reading the reports of what West Coast have said about Jacob Newton. I think he was a real bolter. As a side note, there was that article where we basically had almost committed to Milan Murdoch and then we didn't expect Jacob Newton to be there. So I actually suspect they might give him another contract based on how much they seem to rate him. But we'll see. Locke Rawlinson again as well. He also played well in the waffle, but he's played one AFL game, hasn't really gotten close to another selection since then. I'd be surprised if he's on the list next year, but he does seem to be making progress at his own pace, to be honest. Malachi Champion, also speculative. It's just so early, right? I liked what I saw in the game in terms of his movements. Like, he's so quick and agile when he came on as a sub. I mean, we did see that at waffle level and junior level, but at AFL level, it's nice to see that advantage still continues on an AFL field. He couldn't hit the side of a barn, but he was also the sub. So early, but I think there's some potential there, but quite speculative, you'd have to say, I reckon. Hamish Davis, another speculative one. So we're just populating some of these bottom ones here, and then we'll move through to someone else. What about a Ruben Jinbi? I'm going to put him in strong performer. So this is probably semantics a little bit here, because he's probably going to finish top 5 in the best and fairest. Could he finish top 3? I'm not completely against the idea of that. I think with his consistency, he could absolutely feature very, very highly. I suppose it's a little bit like Brady Hough up until he became a midfielder. It's like, he might be extremely good in his position, but if he's just a lockdown defender primarily, I don't know if Jinbi at the moment has the rebound necessarily to be damaging enough to be a truly elite player. Like, I don't think someone in his position or his specific role right now wins an All-Australian Blazer one day, but he can absolutely add strings to his bow. So I don't know if I'd consider him top-end talent like Harley Reid and Elijah Hewitt are, but he is very, very, very good. Could he have a career trajectory like, say, a Shannon Hearn? Not saying they're exactly the same player by any stretch, but like Shannon Hearn was just good, like a good, consistent player for most of his career, and then around the time he won the flag, then he won a couple of All-Australian Blazers. So that could be Jinbi's trajectory, but for the most part, Hearn wouldn't have been described as an elite player, but by the end of his career, he kind of was. So that's kind of the way I see Jinbi, and that's why I don't have him quite as top end. Forgive me, it looks like I did actually include some older players. I made this list a couple of days ago before actually filming it. I forgot I did include Bailey Williams. So Bailey Williams is a role player. I think he's pretty close to, I wouldn't say maxing out his potential, but at the moment, like, I think he's shown glimpses as a second forward or a second ruck and a third forward or fourth forward even. There's potential there, and we should give these taller types a little bit more time. But I think there's enough of a body work to say that I think he is a little bit limited in what he projects to be. So I think he's a role player. I don't think he's a strong performer, and I'd be surprised if he gets there. Archer Reid has potential, but he is so raw. He is so raw that I don't even really know what position he's going to play. I personally, and I've seen this echoed online, have reservations about him playing as a key forward with his suspect kicking action, but there is some genuine athleticism and football IQ as well with Archer Reid. So could he be a lockdown defender? Like, he's so good aerially. He's so tall. He'd be a great matchup for those 200 centimetre forwards. We know that he can play second ruck. It'll be a while before he's playing number 1 ruck at AFL level. I think there's an argument against putting guys in the ruck too young. They get beaten up. I mean, we did that with Oscar Allen. Is that related to his body issues now? Maybe not. Some of those seem like soft tissue injuries, but then there's a knee. So I don't know. I'm speculating a little bit here with Archer. I think there's the raw talent there is there. I don't know if it's top end, but he has potential to be, more than what he is now. That's for sure. So I think he's tracking along pretty well, to be honest. What about Tyler Brockman? Yeah, again, I think he's born late 2002, so still kind of a young talent, would have been taken 5 drafts ago. Look, I think he's come into his own a little bit this year. I just don't know how high that ceiling is. I mean, I think he can certainly do more than what he's doing now, and that's fine because I think he still hasn't hit 50 games, or he's around that mark, I'm not sure. But as a rotating midfielder, high half forward, I think he can get the job done. He's got stoppage craft and he can hit the goals without being a true goal sneak or anything like that. I think he's certainly got a bit to work on there, but I think his cap is being a role player. But a role player can be Mark Hutchings in a grand final team. It's not necessarily saying he's no good. It's just probably a limit on his potential there. I don't know how much more he can improve compared to someone like an Elijah Hewitt. I think the improvement arc is much broader there. Who else have we got here? Harry Barnett's speculative. He's contracted to the end of... I'm struggling to click this. Contracted to the end of 25 or 26. I actually forget off the top of my head. But hasn't really gotten close to getting back into the AFL team. His waffle performances aren't, banging down the door, so to speak. That being said, we should apply the same logic that it does take these tours longer. I don't know if Harry is going to be around in a couple of years based on his current trajectory. Sandy Brock and Rhett Bazzo are interesting ones. Are they role players? I think they are, but I think that they can both play at AFL level. To be honest, I like them both. Is it a role player if you're a second key position defender? I don't know if I see them being strong performers. And they also do have potential. They're probably the hardest two to categorise here. But I think at the minimum, we're going to get AFL standard key defensive talent there. But I'm not sure if they're ever going to be elite for their position or even a very good player in their position. I think it's possible, but they're still so raw, and Bazzo's missed so much footy, and Brock is so new to AFL level and he's showing glimpses. So I'm going to put them as role player for the time being, and I hope to be surprised there. I think Bazzo's on the verge of making it back into the AFL team, and I'm willing to be patient with him. So I think he could be a little bit higher, but I don't think they're as talented as Job Shanahan or Archer Reed. So that's the distinguishing feature there. What about has potential? You'd have to say our first round draft pick in Bo Allen has potential. Again, a little bit raw in the sense that I don't know what he's going to play at AFL level. It seems like he's settled into halfback, but I don't think that will necessarily mean he's going to be a halfback forever. He could play as a wingman. If he can improve on his stoppage craft, he could be a midfielder, an explosive midfielder. So there is some potential there, and with his athleticism, I think there's a good play there. It's just about where does he fit into the team. Maybe he could be a strong performer, but he's certainly not as well performed as like a Ruben Jinby. So you got to put him in the has potential because we haven't seen him that much at AFL level. Jamison is speculative. I mean, that guy's made of tissue paper. With all due respect, I actually feel bad for him. Every time he gets going, he gets injured. So I'll be surprised if he's on the list next year. Maybe it's a case of what could have been, I don't know, with Jamo, because there is some talent, but it's probably gone on too long now where we have to cut our ties at the end of the year. Tom McCarthy, strong performer. Is he top end or is he strong performer? I think I've seen so little of him that I can't put him, on the same tier as Harley or Elijah, and he's also much older than those guys. Absolute pleasant surprise that he's come into the team and been one of our best players in at least 2 out of the 3 games. It looks very assured at AFL level. Now, he's a halfback flanker, rebounding halfback flanker. Is that a role player? Well, I think he could be so good at it that he exceeds that. So someone like Bashar Hooley, but comparing him to one of the best of his era, but Bashar Hooley is a running defender. Is he a role player? He kind of is. But Bashar Hooley was also one of Richmond's most important players. So therefore, he could go into strong performer. I think Tom McCarthy could be, I'm not going to say Bashar Hooley, but I think he could be that level of ranking of importance to us. So I'm going to put strong performer without being top end. We just haven't seen enough. Tyrell Dewar has potential. There's been some great stuff from him, and there's been some lackluster stuff as reflected by the fact that he got dropped once. But I think for his development arc, if you look over the course of the 3 years he's been with us, the rate of improvement has been outstanding. Like he was probably not ready for Waffle when he was drafted, and then that first year he played in a Waffle team that had no players because we had 2 years of injuries, and then he improved as a wingman or a forward. So like from then on, his rate of improvement has been outstanding. I think he's got some genuine elite AFL traits, but obviously he's got to put that together. It's one thing being quick and great around goals, which he is, but obviously he's got a way to go to prove that he is the real deal. I think he could be strong performer. I don't know if he'd be top end, but he could be strong performer. But it's still so early for him. I'm not willing to put him in that top category or the second category there. I'm more confident about the other guys. Chessa, speculative. You know what? I actually watched him against Subi and I thought, shit, that was good. He looks good in a team that has some organisation, i.e. we won that game. With a team that is winning the footy and able to reward the overlap runners for a start. I think Chessa gets burned a lot when he's running past and we're not winning the footy. I actually don't mind his AFL level talent. The only thing with him, it's speculative because I'm not confident that he's on the list next year. He's just been injured too often, and there is a list spot squeeze. I think he could absolutely be an AFL role player. I think his story could have been very different had he gone to a different team. and he had a better luck with injury. If he'd gone to a better team, I think Campbell Chesser would actually be as good, if not better, than some of the other guys in his draft class. He's had bad luck, and I think the people are a little bit biased against him because there was that little period in his first year where he looked like a rabbit in headlights. Deer in headlights, rabbit? I think there's some potential there. I'm not convinced West Coast gives him another contract, but I actually am optimistic, and I'm not against him playing against Port Adelaide this weekend. By the time this comes out, the teams will be just about out. I'm not sure if he'll make it. Tom Gross has potential. Now, he could go either way into strong performer or role player. I think Tom Gross looks pretty good as a ball-winning midfielder. I think he's pretty balanced between inside and out. I think he can be erratic. At times, it doesn't look like his attitude is completely 100% on, but he is also 18, maybe 19, and quite physically underdeveloped. He's a small kid, but he plays tough. I think he has... Well, when I first saw him play, I thought maybe we could have a little bit of a sarong here. Obviously not necessarily the same quality. But I don't know if he plays a little bit more outside than sarong. We know he's dangerous around goals. I think sometimes he needs to lower his eyes. All that being said, I think there is some good AFL traits there. Again, it's just about getting them together. I don't know if he's ever going to be an elite player, but he could be part of our on-ball rotation. And I think there is enough there in a couple of years when he's filled out, and if he can really work on his contested game. Obviously, it's not bad right now, but he's small. So if he can do that at AFL level, I think he is going to be a part of our future for sure. Clay Hall, role player. I don't know about Clay Hall. I think that his stoppage craft is fairly solid. I think that he can win the footy. And his ball use is okay. It's not amazing, but I think it's okay. The trajectory of his kicks and overall accuracy aren't bad. So I think he could be a decent midfielder. I do worry about his pace or lack of. And sometimes, under duress, his ball use can be poor. I think in open play, he's technically proficient, but we'll see. Is he a role player? Maybe he could go to has potential. I think Tom Gross is a little bit more talented. Clay Hall's a little bit more vanilla with all due respect, but that doesn't mean he's not going to be better. There are vanilla players that are better than X-Factor players, of course. I don't know. That's the way I see it right now. But Clay's on a decent stretch of form. I didn't think he was great against the Giants, but geez, who wasn't terrible against the Giants? So we'll see. That's the way I see it right now. I think Tom Gross has a little bit more scope than Clay Hall. I'm going to put Hutchinson in has potential. I think that I like this kid a little bit more than the average Eagles fan. I think there is a lot of raw potential there for a guy that I think was late to footy, certainly late to AFL, drafted at 22, drafted as a high-flying 190-centimetre forward, playing midfield, but particularly wing now. He's not playing a lot of midfield in terms of stoppages. He's playing on the wing. But with his defensive mentality, his chase downs, his in general intensity, he adds something we don't have. He's a big body and he's a great mark. Against GWS, they threw him forward in the second half, and I'm expecting us to maybe pull up that thread a little bit more. Does Jack Hutchinson become a medium forward that rolls through the midfield? Because that's the question mark for Hutch, is where does he play? He has composure issues. His ball handling can be off, but I think there's potential there, and I think it could exceed role player, to be honest with you. Harvey Johnston. I like this kid. I don't know why he's not even cracked the team this year, because he cracked the team last year, and I thought he was pretty solid. I like, again, the ball use, the movement, the agility. I think he's quite clean in a team that is otherwise not very clean. This year, I think he was injured in the pre-season, lost a bit of momentum, and hasn't stood out at AFL level. Now playing a bit more of a back half distributing role. So maybe he can't get in because there was Marek first, and then, of course, Tom McCarthy now. I don't know what his future is, but I think there's AFL traits there. So we'll see what happens, but I'd like to see him persevered with a little bit. I don't know if he has the potential to be a strong performer, but I think he's a good, tidy AFL player. Jack Williams, I think has potential. But I think it'll be more like a workhorse kind of key forward rather than anything outstanding in terms of traits. I think Job Shanahan is the sexier player, talking football ability. But Jack Williams has a tendency to get himself in the right positions. I think for the most part, he's been clutch and clean. He's had a couple of bad weeks, so I think he's out of the team right now. But over the body of work, I think Jack Williams is actually a pretty good forward. I think he relies a little bit more on IQ and work rate than, say, athleticism. And I don't think he came to the year fit. based on my observations. So I'd love to see what he's like after a pre-season, but I think he has the potential to be a very strong performer for us. Ryan Marrick has potential. I don't know. I considered role player, but I think he's actually more talented in terms of footballing ability than some of these guys below him. I really like... Well, I mean, factor in, he was drafted as a forward and he's now learning a new role. He's got forward craft. He is a great set shot, to be honest. He's a great field kick, and I think there has been some progress with the way he uses the footy. And I think that having McCarthy in the team probably has actually helped his game rather than go the other way. I felt like he was on the wing a lot more against the Giants, and I think he's becoming more consistent. With his traits, I think he can be better than a role player, but I don't think he's as talented as Tom McCarthy, hence that ranking. All right, we'll summarise. I think we have 2 top-end midfield talents, which is great. It's a great start, provided we can keep them. Brady Hough may be selling short there because I haven't seen it yet, but if he becomes an elite midfielder, my God, that'd be so sick. Jinby and McCarthy are strong performers. Jeez, McCarthy's only played 3 games, and I've got him in our top 5 young talents. That's good. The potential, these guys just could be more than they are. Obviously, just haven't seen enough. Marrick's probably played the most footy there, but new role. I still think there's a bit of development there. Same with Jack Williams. I think he can be better than he's currently playing. Hopefully, that's a fitness issue. But the rest of them are quite raw. So we just haven't seen a lot of them, but those guys I think could be strong performers or better. Role players, the first 2 that jump out to me that I'm a little bit guilty about is Bazzo and Brock. Have I undersold them? I just don't know. I think there is some potential there. And maybe role play isn't the right category, but I think they're less talented than the guys above them. Clay Hall, Harvey Johnston, Bailey Williams, Noah Long, and Brockman, these guys could be part of the team going forward, just probably not central parts of the team that's going to take us to the Holy Land. I don't know. Speculative. Yeah, a bunch of talents there that we just don't know. Like, we've seen a bit of Hamish Davis, we've seen a bit of Chesser, and the rest of them I just can't have a strong opinion on. And even if I did have strong opinions, I'd have to temper them because I'd only seen them so much. But yeah, that's the way I see it, guys. Obviously, it's actually good that we have a couple of midfielders in here, potentially 3 if Brady Hough develops that way, which he may do. Harry Edwards is a little bit old for this. I think Harry Edwards is born in 2000, which makes him 25 this year. So I'm actually, I think we've seen enough of Harry. He's a decent key back and could develop further, but probably can't be considered young talent anymore and established in the team. So I probably didn't consider that one, although Bailey Williams I've also included in this. Maybe that's inconsistent. So we know we need a key back. We know we need some classy ball users. I don't know if this has told us anything we don't already know, but this is the way I see our talent, and hopefully we can populate this list again in 12 months' time because we have some really good draft picks. We've got a good hand this year, which could be 1, 2, and 15. We'll see. But hopefully the year after that, we can add Chad Warren to this list. I think that would round it out nicely. Let me know in the comments, guys, what you agree with and disagree with, and I'll see you in the next one. Up the Eagles.